Narrations and the bride who was about to make history, or so everyone thought. Her name was Lila, no, not Amara. Lila, a young woman known for her quiet charm and mysterious past, who had risen from a life no one truly understood to the pinnacle of society. She looked radiant in her ivory gown, the intricate lace hugging her slender frame. Her long veil cascaded down like a waterfall of silk, and the diamonds in her earrings sparkled with every movement. But beneath the flawless makeup and perfect hair, Lila's heart pounded not with excitement but with fear. It was her wedding day, a day that should have been filled with joy, laughter, and the beginning of a new life. Yet, as she walked down the aisle, the smiles of her family and friends felt like masks hiding curiosity, judgment, and suspicion. The groom, a man of wealth and power, waited at the altar, his hand extended in promise. Everyone assumed this was a story of love and triumph. But Lila carried a secret, a shadow that had followed her from the streets of her childhood into the gilded halls of this palace-like venue. Her steps were measured, almost mechanical. Each click of her heels against the marble floor echoed like a drumbeat in her chest. Memories flashed in her mind. The cold nights she had spent alone, the whispered rumors that tried to define her, the men and women who had tried to use her, and the few rare moments when someone truly believed in her. And now, standing at the threshold of a life that everyone thought she deserved, Lila felt an emptiness she could not explain. The guests rose as she approached, their whispers blending with the soft notes of the string quartet. Some admired her beauty, some envied her, and others simply waited for the drama to unfold. They always expected drama. The groom's eyes glimmered with pride, but Lila noticed the impatience hidden in his gaze, a reminder that wealth could never buy understanding or patience. As the priest began the ceremony, the words of the vows hung in the air like a delicate trap. Lila's hands trembled, clutching the bouquet of white lily as if it were a lifeline. The moment everyone had been waiting for, the exchange of "I do" loomed closer. Hearts raced in anticipation, but only Lila knew the storm brewing within her. When the time came and all eyes were on her, Lila opened her mouth to speak. But instead of saying the words that would seal her fate, a shiver ran down her spine. Her mind raced with questions no one had asked. Do they truly know me? Do they even care? What if this is the end of everything I fought to survive? And then, just as her lips were about to move, the room went silent, not with awe, but with shock. Guests leaned forward, breaths held, hearts pounding. Lila looked straight into the eyes of her groom, the priest, and the crowd, and then she vanished. Not a scream, not a fall, not a fainting spell. Just gone. Panic erupted. Chairs toppled, whispers turned into shouts, and the sound of frantic footsteps filled the hall. The groom's face turned pale, his perfect composure shattered. "Where did she go?" he shouted, voice cracking. But no one could answer. The bride who was supposed to be the center of their lives, the perfect storybook ending they had waited for, had disappeared into thin air. And in the shadows of the grand hall, only one thing was certain. This was not the end. It was the beginning of a mystery that would shake the city to its core. The grand hall was in chaos. Guests screamed, some fainted, and others frantically searched every corner, hoping to find the bride. Cameras flashed wildly, capturing the confusion and panic. The groom, once composed and confident, now looked like a man unraveling. His perfectly tailored suit seemed ill-fitted in the face of the impossible. Lila was gone. Security guards rushed in, their radios crackling with orders. "Check the exits. Check every door. Anyone must have seen her." But even as they scoured the hall, the truth became impossible to ignore. No one had seen her leave. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Outside, the rain poured harder, washing the marble steps and sweeping away the echo of shocked cries. Lila crouched under a narrow awning at the side of the mansion, her breath coming in sharp, ragged gasps. Her heart pounded not from exertion, but from the knowledge of what she was about to do. She had made the decision weeks ago, a choice that would change everything. She couldn't be trapped by a life that demanded perfection, obedience, or gratitude she didn't feel. Her phone vibrated. A message flashed on the screen. "You can't run from this forever." Lila's fingers trembled as she read it. The message wasn't from a stranger, it was from someone who had haunted her for years, someone who knew the darkest corners of her past. For a moment, she felt fear creep in, but it was quickly replaced by resolve. She had survived far worse than this. Back in the hall, the whispers had turned into accusations. Guests questioned each other, pointing fingers. Some whispered that she had staged her disappearance for attention, while others feared something more sinister. The groom's father, a man known for his iron grip over business and family, stormed into the hall, his face red with anger. "This is a disgrace. Where is she?" His voice boomed, echoing against the crystal chandeliers. But even his threats could not bring her back. Meanwhile, a young maid named F, who had been helping with the wedding, noticed something strange. On the marble floor, it was as if the flower had been left behind as a silent message. F picked it up carefully, sensing that it held a clue to Lila's disappearance, but she dared not speak too loudly. In this house of wealth and power, secrets were dangerous. As the night wore on, rumors spread like wildfire. Some claimed they had seen a shadow slip through the back gardens. Others whispered that Lila had allies waiting outside, ready to whisk her away. But no one could agree. No one could prove anything. And in the midst of it all, Lila moved through the rain-soaked streets, unnoticed and untraceable. She had no plan to return, no desire to explain herself. All she wanted was freedom, a chance to breathe without the suffocating expectations of a world that had never truly cared for her. But freedom had a cost. She knew that those she left behind, her groom, his family, the friends who thought they knew her, would stop at nothing to find her. And somewhere in the shadows of the city, she could sense the presence of someone who had been waiting for her all along. The mystery deepened, and the question on everyone's lips was the same. Why did Lila vanish on the very day she said "I do"? The streets were slick with rain, reflecting the flickering streetlights, in puddles that seemed to ripple like shattered glass. Lila moved silently, a shadow among shadows, her white wedding dress soaked and clinging to her frame. Every step reminded her of the life she had just abandoned, a life of expectation, wealth, and scrutiny, but also of the chains she had carried for years. She ducked into a narrow alley, shivering not from the cold, but from the memories that haunted her. Memories of nights spent in fear, of men and women who had pretended to care while exploiting her, and of whispers that had followed her since childhood. Layla had always been different. She had always known that people saw her, but they never truly knew her. Somewhere in the distance, a car door slammed, and the sound made her jump. She pressed herself against the brick wall, heart hammering, and listened. She wasn't safe yet, not from the people who thought they owned her past, and not from the secrets she had buried deep inside herself. Her thoughts drifted back to her mother, a woman she barely remembered. Layla had grown up with rumors and half-truths, never knowing who had wanted her safe, and who had only wanted to use her. Every step forward had been a fight for survival, and every trust had come at a cost. That was why she had left the hall tonight. She could not be part of a story written by others, no matter how glamorous it seemed. But freedom, she quickly realized, was not simple. As she navigated the maze of streets, she felt eyes on her. Not just any eyes that knew her patterns, her fears, and her weaknesses. Lila had thought she could disappear, that she could vanish from the world that had always demanded her compliance. Yet, someone was already tracing her steps. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. Running won't save you. They know where you are. Lila's hands trembled as she read it. Whoever this was, they weren't threatening her for money or fame. They wanted something far darker. She dropped the phone into her coat pocket, pulling her veil tighter over her face, and picked up her pace. Every corner she turned, every alley she entered, could be a trap, and she couldn't afford to make a mistake. Hours passed and the city's noise faded into the background. She found refuge in an old, abandoned building, one of the few places where no one would look for her immediately. Inside, dust covered the furniture, and cobwebs clung to the corners, but to Lila it felt like sanctuary. She sank to the floor, pressing her back against the wall, and finally allowed herself to breathe. But peace was short-lived. As she sat there, the sound of a faint knock echoed through the empty building. She froze. Slowly, carefully, she moved toward the source. A figure emerged from the shadows, not threatening, not angry, but familiar. It was a man from her past, someone she had trusted once. Someone who had vanished from her life without explanation. His presence brought a mix of relief and fear. "You shouldn't have come back," Lila whispered, her voice hoarse. He stepped closer, his eyes scanning the room. "You didn't have a choice," he said. "They're already looking for you. And Lila, this isn't just about running away. This is about surviving." Lila's chest tightened. She had thought her disappearance was an act of liberation. Now she realized it was the first step into something far more dangerous. World where secrets could kill, and where trust was the most dangerous gamble of all. Outside, the storm raged on, as if the heavens themselves were echoing the turmoil of Lila's life. She didn't know who she could trust, or how deep the conspiracy went. But one thing was certain. She had left the wedding hall, but the past had not left her. And the game had only just begun. Dawn broke over the city, but for Lila there was no relief in the soft light. The streets were quiet now, but she knew it was only a temporary calm. Every shadow could hide someone hunting her. Every honking car could conceal a tale. Her wedding dress, once pristine, was soaked and torn, but she didn't care. It had been a symbol of the life she refused to accept, a life built on lies, expectations, and the illusion of perfection. The man from her past, whose name was Damien, led her through a maze of back alleys. His eyes were sharp, calculating, but his tone held urgency. "They know everything," he said. "And if they catch you tonight, it won't just be the wedding that ends. Your life, Lila, is on the line." Lila's mind raced. She had known the wedding was dangerous, not because of the groom, not because of the guests, but because of the secrets buried in her family's past. Secrets that powerful people had tried to bury, and that now threatened to surface. "You have to trust me," Damien continued. "There's a way out, but you have to be willing to fight for it." "Are you?" Lila swallowed hard. She had survived worse. She had learned to fight, to disappear, to outsmart those who underestimated her. And now, for the first time, she felt something she hadn't felt in years: determination. They reached an old warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Inside, papers, photographs, and files were strewn across tables. Evidence of corruption, betrayal, and lies that could topple powerful figures. Lila's own family's name appeared on documents she had never been allowed to see. She felt a chill, realizing how deep the conspiracy ran. "They're going to come for you," Damien said, glancing nervously at the darkened windows. "Tonight, they'll try to take you back. But if we expose the truth," he paused, "we might be able to end it." Suddenly, the sound of tires screeching shattered the tense quiet. Flashing lights reflected off the warehouse walls. Men in dark suits stormed the entrance. Lila's heart raced, adrenaline surging through her veins. She had two choices: run again, or face the danger head-on. With a deep breath, she chose to fight. Chaos erupted. Papers flew, Shouts echoed, and Lila moved with precision and urgency. She guided Damien through hidden exits she had memorized during her years of survival, ducking bullets and avoiding capture. Every step was a dance between life and death, every decision a gamble. Finally, they reached a rooftop, rain-drenched and slick. Below, the city stretched endlessly, indifferent to the drama unfolding above. Lila turned to Damien. "This ends now," she said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. Damien nodded. "It does. But only if we're smart." Together, they activated a plan to release the documents to the media, proof of corruption, lies, and manipulation that would force the powerful to answer. As the first news alerts began to flash across screens, Lila felt a weight lift off her shoulders. For the first time in her life, she had reclaimed her story. The storm outside mirrored the storm she had endured inside, but now the rain felt cleansing, not threatening. She looked at Damien and allowed herself a small smile. "I did what I had to do," she said. "I survived. I'm not just Lila the bride anymore. I'm Lila, and I define my life." Below, the city began to buzz with the shock of revelations. Friends, enemies, and strangers alike watched as the truth came to light. Some were outraged, some inspired, but all knew one thing. The bride who disappeared had returned, not as a victim, but as a force no one could ignore. And as Lila disappeared into the early morning mist, leaving the world she had been trapped in behind, one thing was certain: her story was far from over. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so you don't miss our next stories.